If it's possible that I can just barely sit on... What the? Chip, why did you able to actually just, wreck the physics on that table? Oh, jeez, man. Hey, what is up, ladies and gentlemen? I am Duffy Duck here, and I'm from the likes of the Merxy Toys videos. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to my Let's Play of Sonic Unleashed for the Xbox 360 or the PlayStation 3. So last time we did manage to explore for Windmill Isle, both Acts 1 and 2, as Sonic the Hedgehog. Even though it might be a little bit of embarrassment entering the likes of Act 2 of Windmill Isle, because I accidentally just reset the entire, or restart the entire run-through of Act 2. Probably because I need to get a lot of practice on this game, probably due to I was so used to with, you know, Sonic Colors and Sonic Generations after all. So, yeah, today for this video, folks, is the fact that we're going to be moving on to Windmill Isle Apatos Act 2, or no, Act 1 even, as Sonic the Werehog. So even then, though, we can now able to experience the nighttime stage in this game. So even then, let's see how this usually compared to the Wii version or the PlayStation 2 version. So, I'm hoping it doesn't actually brings us too many nighttime stages, unlike the other version, which is the Wii or the PS2 version. So, luckily there's only one level that we're going to be most likely tackle through. So, plus I've noticed is that some of these nighttime levels can get a little bit more longer compared to how it does in the Nintendo Wii or the PlayStation 2 version. But that's as far as we can actually see. So even then, there's not much else we can actually discuss for this point, folks, because today was actually films of the 12th of January 2018. So that means is that tomorrow I'm actually going to be seeing my next film I'm going to be seeing from the likes of the next Pixar Marathon films, selection of films. I'm about to be seeing Code tomorrow, because even then, I've heard so many reviewers out there, especially noticeable that's already been released on North America. That film is easily the best animated film in that particular year, much like how it does it in Zootopia or Zootropolis in UK in last 2 years, and then in 27, yeah, just around 2 years. So anyways, I'll get into more details onto that film once I manage to let someone else just actually discuss upon. But for now, let's get this thing started with the first nighttime stage in the Xbox 360 or the PlayStation 3 version. And from the start, that Tails is actually afraid in this version. From the after when I able to actually just or before I start this level, unlike how it does it in the Nintendo Wii version or the PlayStation 2 version, after when you finish the Act 3 of Windmill Isle nighttime level, you rescue Tails immediately, assuming if you actually open the door up. But even then, it doesn't show the opening the door sequence in this version. So even then, though, because of how the fact that we've not exactly there yet. So anyway, so how it works for the Sonic the Werehog in this version over the ones in the Nintendo Wii version or the PlayStation 2 version is that, well, much like the daytime stages, there's no tutorial forced elements to it, because we can simply just jump in. So even then, though, that that's the thing I liked about this version over the ones the other versions in this game, is that first off, there's no tutorial forced elements, unlike how it does it in Kingdom Hearts 2, as far as I've noticed, and also Mario Luigi Dream Team Brothers, because between these two RPG games, these two games have the worst tutorial segments in the entirety of the franchise, because, well, usually the tutorial segments between these two RPG games never seem to end, especially Mario Luigi Dream Team Brothers, because they always pointed out with, you know, how the combat system works, and especially noticeable how the controls worked out in the overworld. But even that's as far as I can tell for these parts. So anyway, speaking of such, is that, one thing I haven't mentioned about this during yesterday is that recently yesterday, that Nintendo Direct actually now realizes that, you know how the fact that Mario was already pointing things out? from the likes of the NES Remix Let's Play, that he was concerned about if the Nintendo Direct was going to happen during yesterday, but it turns out they actually not released about around roughly around about 45 minutes or so. Instead, it was actually Nintendo Direct Mini. So even then, it's been a long while since we saw the Nintendo Direct Mini counterpart. So even then, that I was quite surprised about this actually. So even then, we'll go run through all this list, shall we? Before I'm able to actually explore for this particular stage. So even then, that now we can actually just you know, discuss upon this a lot of things throughout. So even then, first off, they've announced is actually forms of the world, I can't pronounce that little Japanese title. That's usually, I think it's actually called the world's never was end. I think that's what the Japanese title usually calls it. But even then, that is it was originally released on Nintendo DS, but now it's going to be ported onto the Nintendo Switch. Which even then, some RPG fans, including for the likes of, if you've ever played Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance for either the 3DS or the PS4 version, this guy called Neku, that he's the main protagonist on that particular RPG title, he now makes you know, now makes it on Nintendo Switch now. So even then, though, that's some RPG fans, including myself, I'm actually quite surprised about this actually. Even then, I wasn't exactly going to buy this honestly, because I was more dig into Kingdom Hearts, and especially noticeable with Paper Mario and Mario Luigi series after all. So even then, though, that I'm afraid that I can't able to actually comment it on that one. So next they actually announced is the forms of DLC packs for Pokken Tournament DX. That there's a good reason that we've got that game in the first place. If you're following through our Christmas video last year, so even then know that because of this though, they've actually received new playable characters, including new support Pokemon characters. I know familiar ones like Mew and Celebi, the most legendary Pokemon for the mystical Pokemons, I should say. But even then, I was really surprised of how the fact that these DLC will come out. So even then, can't wait to try that version. But even then, I haven't really tested out the game out yet, because obviously I'm going to be able to actually let someone able to actually go through Sonic Forces Let's Play during at some point tomorrow, which even then, spoiler alert, we're able to tackle for the Nintendo Switch version. So if you probably couldn't tell already due to you know, discussion on you know, the Christmas 2017 video, so you get the idea. And speaking of such, is that next they actually did announce the forms of new info and the final release date of Kirby Star Allies. Kirby Star Allies is, I think, that's a perfect example of that we're going to be tackling through the Kirby Marathon, especially consist of this year, as far as you might notice. That, first off, we'll talk about the release date first. It's now going to be released until the 16th of March, 2018. So it's not that long. We only got about 2 months ahead. So even then, note that, well, perfect opportunity to able to get that game first. So, and the next game they did announce the forms of, oh wait, before I get into this kinds of stuff, they also did actually add in new abilities in Kirby Star Allies this time. I believe first one was actually forms of the Artist ability, which I believe that actually referenced something almost exactly, almost like the boss from the likes of Kirby's Dream Land 3 for the Super Nintendo, the ones if you went into the fourth world, which even then though you have to deal with this artist person, that was actually based off from that copy ability. And next thing they actually put things out with the copy abilities to actually newly introduced, and that was the Spider ability, which even then, that looks freaking awesome. And obviously taking notice from, you know, Kirby 64, that actually includes the, you know, the copy ability combination. So even then, that except the fact that you're gonna have to deal with, either your friends, with computer opponents, if you couldn't tell, or with your friend, with, just human opponents, which even then, I'm actually really surprised about this, actually. So even then, I'm still really looking forward to that game, though, so that's why I'm definitely gonna be getting it, so. Next they did announce is the forms of the third version of Hyrule Warriors. Let's run down the list, shall we? First it includes the Wii U version of Hyrule Warriors, which is a standalone version. And then the second one was the 3DS version from the forms of new content to be included. even especially noticeable that it's usually supported in the original 3DS, obviously, for low resolution, especially with the lower frame rate. But even I've noticed that the new 3DS version actually retains the amiibo functionality, and especially noticeable with just basically just higher resolution with just frame rate and all that stuff. But now we're going to be getting ourselves the third version of Hyrule Warriors, but now it calls it Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition, which, you know, kind of like how it does in Rayman Legends for the Nintendo Switch as well. But even then, I'm not concerned of trying to able to get myself Rayman Legends for the Switch. But even then, though, that the only thing I do need to be careful of on the Switch, though, is the forms of it gets like fingerprints all over it. Assuming if you're actually trying to deal with the touch Murphy stages. So even then, though, that luckily though for me, I managed to got myself my missing Mario glove, or Luigi glove, I should say. That back in 2012, I managed to recently got myself my Luigi costume back in the day. But now I'm grown older at this point now, since I'm still 20 years old. Unfortunately, though, that costume won't fit on me anymore, so even then, that can get a little bit obnoxious at one point, I have to say that much until now. So anyway, though, and as far as I'm aware, that it might actually contains the rest of the content from the Wii U and the 3DS version, so even then, though, that I kind of wish if the Super Smash Bros. Definitive version should be like that. But unfortunately, it's not announced just yet until when the next E3 conference is about to be approaching, which I highly doubt it will be, possibly. And Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, they got the rest of the contents for the Wii U version, but now they improved the improvement on the battle mode. But even then, though, that's as far as I can really just try to go ahead and say that right about now. But even then, though, that yeah. I'm actually kind of surprised to actually get this as the third version of Hyrule Warriors. Unfortunately, still haven't touched upon the Wii U version just yet, but I especially haven't touched upon the 3DS version either, because sometimes I actually easily get myself rage quit on the 3DS version due to, well, first off, that how the fact that I was originally trying to keep up with my checkpoint registering, but unfortunately though, due to how the fact that sometimes the frame rate on my original 3DS model back in 2016, whenever I played that version, holy coward, it feels more accurately so laggy. And plus, some of the textures do look really horrible rough around the edges on that version, I have to say that much. But even then, I'll come back to that versions until whenever I just start to be able to do the Switch version as well. So, yeah, can't wait for that as well, I hope. Next game they actually did announce the forms of the new Mario Tennis game. Shocking surprise, after a year ago that they did recently release Mario Sports Superstars but on the 3DS. Kind of a missed opportunity to be able to release that on the 3DS just to begin with, because we only got a Mario Tennis game due to Mario Tennis Open. And we've got Mario Tennis Ultra Smash for the Wii U, which is one of the worst games to be in existence. And even then, at least Mario Tennis game for the Nintendo Switch now calls it Mario Tennis Aces, which even then though, it feels more accurately identical to Ultra Smash with the same animations and all that stuff. But if I've noticed something right off the get-go is that they've now finally included story mode, which even then though, that's how it should have done for the console or the handheld treatments, because normally Nintendo Switch is more accurately a combination of the console and a handheld console. But even then, I was really happy about the story modes now included. The only thing I'm really unsure of is to actually include the character roster, because the only characters they only include at this point, which are Mario, Luigi, Wario, and Waluigi, and Donkey Kong, but no princesses, strangely, and even Yoshi as a result. Which kind of makes me feel more accurately, are they trying to abandon them or something? Which kind of does the exact same thing for Mario Tennis Ultra Smash back in during E3 2015. The only playable characters they only include on that particular demo is actually forms of just only Mario, Bowser, Peach, and Toad. No Luigi or Wario Brothers or Donkey Kong or Yoshi, so that kind of feels a bit too strange. But even then, though, as far as I'm aware, for Mario Tennis Aces, I might actually gonna be able to pick that up, because even then, though, due to how the fact that it feels remarkably too similar to Ultra Smash, but except, you know, they've now finally included story mode, so even then, though, I'm hoping the content on that game won't be as lagging compared to Ultra Smash, hopefully, because seriously, Ultra Smash is just a little bit of a more accurately a bad game, because even then, though, it doesn't have that much content. But I digress, though. And I should be pointing to note is that between Hyrule Warriors the Definitive Edition, and especially noticeable with Mario Tennis Aces, those two are currently going to be releasing upon during spring sometime. I'm assuming it might actually release until May between them, but I don't know exactly 100% surely just yet. So anywho though, and next game they did announce the forms of the I don't know actually, some new information upon Super Mario Odyssey's free update. Now, originally I was able to say that Luigi was going to be a playable debut on Super Mario Odyssey due to the year of Luigi during this year, which at this point in time he was now practically going to be 35 years old at this point. Sadly it wasn't, because it was instead he could be acted out as NPC by the forms of the Balloon test online services mode. I have to say though, that might be pretty lackluster for me though, because I still really enjoyed Super Mario Odyssey. In fact, recently I managed to play this game on my own time, and I've managed to complete every single missions as far as I might actually just go for here. Plus I managed to almost gathered 999 power moons, but the only thing is I need to do now is to grind even more coins to get myself even more power moons. So, anywho though, and actually I'll get into more details upon the next conversation to make through, because from now on, I do apologize for the lack of delay for actually discussing upon the Werehog's mechanics in the HD version of Sonic Unleashed, or in this case the Xbox 360 or the PlayStation 3 if you want to call it that. Basically it feels more accurately exactly the same thing as it does it for the Nintendo Wii or the PlayStation 2 version, except the fact that the Werehog in this version actually has a lot more combos, or in this case a lot of movesets this time. And even then though, sometimes you can able to actually, if you think of before you're trying to finish off with these particular tougher enemies, like for instance this little Titan based enemy right there, as you can see I managed to perform myself a quick time events before you're trying to finish him off. And if you do that, chances are not only do you get yourselves a critical finish and all that stuff, but also you gain yourselves extra points. And even then, that way you should able to finish off these enemies so faster. So even then, if you're assuming if you do it at the if you don't do it at the right time, or in this case, if you don't do it at the right time, chances are these enemies will actually regain their health back. So even then, though, you do need to do it really fast and quick before you're able to finish them off through everything. So, anyway. So, yeah, there's not much I can really tell. I will actually able to actually discuss upon more on him until we get to the next stage. So even then, though, for the time being, we got ourselves an A. Yet another A in this run through. Still no S rank, supposedly, but even then. But at the moment, we got 2 art books, as you can tell, and plus, you know, 9 sun medals and 5 moon medals. So that way, it can get myself plenty of opportunities to able to hopefully get some level progressioning's sake. So, anyways, I'm gonna upgrade myself my health, or in this case, life, I should say. Because that way, until the next couple of stages later, that I need to actually grind myself some health, especially noticeable with strength. And, well, actually, I might as well go for, yeah, I might as well go for strength on this first half, and combat for that one. So even then, that way I should be able to deal with grinding for some experience over there. So, and now we actually rescue Tails.
Hey, Tails.
Sonic?
What are you doing out here?
Sonic, is that really you? That's a new look. What happened?
You know me. Never a dull moment.
Want some chocolate?
Thanks. That's some story. I'll bet that means that you turning into that and the planet breaking apart are somehow related.
I need to find Eggman and make him fix this, and fast!
About that, I think I know someone who might know something about what's going on here.
Oh, really?
Professor Pickle over at Spagonia University. I came to this city to gather some data. If we add that to his research findings, we might be able to get to the bottom of all this.
Spagonia. That's a continent over. An easy jog if the planet weren't broken.
No problem. My Tornado 1 will get us there in a flash. Let's get going.
Leave it to you, Tails. Let's get moving.
So, before we head into Spagonia, which is the second continent on this particular planet Earth, but even then, before we do that, we have to go and deal with the tornado sequence, just like in Sonic Adventure. But now it calls it tornado defense stages. So, but luckily in this particular game, that it only contains only 2 stages, so that won't be that much of a problem, just like in Sonic Adventure.
Here comes the parade.
I've got this one, Sonic. Tornado, battle mode engaged.
Okay, so while doing this particular tornado defense stages is that, well, I honestly think these stages aren't that bad, but even then, once you have a first time playing this game, you do have a lot of struggling with this, because for one thing, unlike in Sonic Adventure 1, that, you don't move the actual tornado, because instead you have to press the buttons, and that's all you're really trying to do. Like these quick time events, examples, which even then though, that every time when a button shows up, it's your chance to be able to press that particular one button and to able to destroy one of those robots. And then if not, chances are you're gonna lose your shield, or in this case your health. Think of like the gummy ship levels from the likes of Kingdom Hearts, except, well, you can't move your tornado at all. So everything else has gone autopilot for the most part. See, even though that that may seem the case on this particular segment like this, but as I mentioned earlier, there are only 2 tornado defense stages, so even then though, that makes it pretty obvious to see how the fact that, well, as far as you might as well notice that. So, anywho though, back to what I was saying about the Nintendo Direct Mini, that, yeah, I kinda wish that Luigi was going to be playable, debuted in Super Mario Odyssey, but it's now been replaced as NPC, which I must admit though, I'm feeling pretty, slightly disappointed, but even then though, that hey, at least we got ourselves some new costumes in that particular game. Like, for instance, they've now got the costume based off from Super Mario Sunshine, at least expecting if you collect 120 Shine Sprites on that game. Especially noticeable with this knight armor. I think that does kind of reminds me like Arthur from Ghosts and Goblins for the Nintendo Entertainment System, definitely the more tougher NES games that everyone's about to be conceived of, alongside with Zelda 2 The Adventure of Link. And speaking of Zelda 2 The Adventure of Link, recently yesterday, I managed to play that game yesterday, and I've only just completed the first palace in the game, because freaking hell, that game is super hard. More harder than any other Zelda games I've ever played. Probably due to the fact that the enemy contact is a little bit more, well, a little bit of annoying, because one of the most annoying enemies I've just realized is the forms of Iron Knuckle, because Iron Knuckle never seems to stop moving unless if you're trying to able to carefully time your jab stub, which even then though, that is not as easy as it sounds in my opinion, but even then that's as far as I can go. But anyway though, I guess there's another information I want to point out, is that there's actually the next Nintendo Switch game. There's usually be, well, the next Wii U game ported to the Nintendo Switch is about to be coming. Now it's in forms of, actually I'll just discuss more on that later.
What is that thing?
Well, Sonic, prepare to be sunk.
Remember, Doctor, it is not yet complete. Handle it gently.
Silence!
Looks like we've got to beat that thing to get by.
Go!
Okay, so we instantly managed to bump into, technically the first boss in this version, which is forms of the Egg Cauldron. I think that can be the same applies to Act 2 on this stage as well, but even then we'll get to it a bit later, which, spoiler alert, that we might as well will be. So, for this particular boss, that all you have to do is pretty simple. We need to, obviously, just shoot down these, projectiles, including the likes of these other robots as well, if the buttons again show up. And every time when they show up, it's your chance to be able to press it immediately until either the projectile hits your tornado, or the enemies will try to able to shoot you at one point. So, but it's not so much of a bad of a boss fight. It's just that the only thing you need to worry about is the timing aspect. Even especially noticeable, you need to act out really fast, and you have to be reflex on that particular boss. Because even then, though, if you messed up at least a couple of times, there aren't any checkpoints in any of those airship levels, I don't think. Or in this case, the tornado defense stages. Because if you got all of your health has been granted to 0, this means you have to do the entire stage all over again, and that's no good. So, but for what it's worth, it's not that bad of a boss fight though, but even then. Anyway though, they've now finally released the, yet another Nintendo Switch, game, which is usually another port to the Nintendo Wii U, and that is the forms of Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. I wish it was supposed to be Tropical Freeze Plus, but they decided to keep as the original title ever since the Wii U version. But I think the only new constant they includes is the Easy mode, which actually allows you to play as Funky Kong, which is more accurately the 5th playable character on that version, which even then, that might seems pretty strange, but even then, yeah. And plus, I've got my first achievement on this Let's Play and C rank, so that's a little bit of a continuity. But even then, that, as you probably noticed, is that I've got my achievement right there. This way, it actually allows me to be able to beat those tornado defense stages without taking any damage, which is called Ace Pilot. So that makes it pretty obvious. So that's all I can really say about this discussion at this point, so I'm gonna have to end things off here. So tune me next time on Let's Play Sonic Unleashed for the Xbox 360. On the PlayStation 3 is the fact that we're gonna be checking up upon Professor Pickle and Spigonia. So see you guys then. Later, fellas.